Amazing audience, we are live with Khalif, John Clark. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Pleasure to meet you.
Great to get the invite.
It's great.
Forward to this.
Tell me, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time?
Being opportunistic, actually.
Ooh,
yes.
Who did you learn that from?
I've actually learned that from my high school math teacher, actually.
Tell me more, please.
He actually used to work on Wall Street. Quick backstory, I'm actually originally from New Jersey, so...
New Jersey is beautiful.
It is a great state to go to. Will I live back there again? Maybe, but I'm really enjoying Texas right now.
Yeah, Texas seems interesting. It seems to be buzzy, but still light.
Exactly. But my teacher worked with Wall Street for many of years, and he actually started to teach math more as a hobby. And one of the things that I took from a lot of his teachings, both in the classroom and even just conversations outside the classroom, is never be complacent about as far as like what you want. Like if you see another opportunity, just take it. Like you never know what's going to happen. Take those kind of risks because you never know what kind of rewards come afterwards.
That's amazing. So when is he teaching you this? Like what grade?
It was freshman year to junior year.
Oh, so this is what age? This is like what, like 15? 15?
It was like I actually entered high school 13.
Wow.
Yes.
How so?
Oh, I'm a late birthday.
Okay.
So I'm still with the same group for my birth year, but my birthday's in December, so where everyone else is enjoying their stuff, you know, and it's actually even funnier because my birthday is in between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
So growing up was quite entertaining. I would get Merry Birthday and Happy Christmas cards all the time.
It's interesting. My sister, so my grandmother, my sister, and my mother, they're the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th of December.
Wow.
So what I do is I buy one gift for Christmas. You know, I'm like, I'm buying you guys, it's too much. Like, come on.
Yes.
Yeah, that's intriguing. So tell me more of what you do, please.
Sure. I am a reporting business analyst for a mortgaging company. It's actually a banking company, but I work primarily within the mortgaging division up there, providing media solutions for them as far as different facts and figures, forecasting and things of that matter. One of the things that we're starting to do now is as we're receiving new requests, rather than us just taking those requests and giving them a product back, we want to go a little bit more granular, a little bit more deeper as far as what they actually want, to provide them with a more optimal report versus just, here you go for one thing, a month later we get another report request, here you go for that one as well too, versus we get that first request, we have a meeting with them trying to open up that conversation, try to understand exactly what they want, and we can actually knock out 3 certain requests that can happen within the 6-month period versus having 6 requests within the 6-month period.
Wow, who came up with that idea?
It was actually my manager. He's actually really bright, and I'm still just learning so much from him too. One thing that I go back to being optimistic is a lot of the managers that I have always taught me something that I can take with me.
Sure.
Both within my career and just even outside the career in personal life. And always just trying to learn something new, always learn something new. And I'm such a sponge for knowledge all the time.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. That's intriguing. So my entire thing is the power of a conversation. And you know, like sometimes where Amanda, so my wife and I, we're working, and you know, she said, well, this person sent this email, and I'm like, you should give them a call.
Yes.
Have a conversation with them, because that fixes some other things.
Yes.
It's really interesting. An email is good, but a conversation is very powerful. I'm
Very
glad
powerful.
that you got that already.
Yes.
That's very amazing. What's one other thing you've done consistently over the last 3 years?
Well, not so much as far as the past 3 years, but the past 2 years, I've been hosting and managing a podcast.
Sweet. Podcast family.
Absolutely.
Family podcast. There we go.
So my best friend and I we were converting for at least I want to say at least a year, I was just saying a lot of the conversation that we talk about is sports related. So we kept saying, man, we should just do a podcast about this.
Yeah.
We should just talk about this and just share it with people. And, of course, we procrastinated and, it was just still just an idea in the back of our heads all the time. And suddenly one day I was just sitting in front of my computer. I was like, man, how can I actually get started with a podcast? So I started doing some research, try to figure out what kind of platform we could start doing it. And suddenly I found one, which was Mixer.
Right.
And the podcast was born, and it's actually called Debate Amongst Friends.
And
we've been doing
Debate Amongst Friends.
Debate Amongst Friends.
Debate Amongst Friends.
Yes.
All right.
And we've been doing that for the past 2 years now.
Wow. How is it a weekly show or monthly?
It is a weekly show.
Right.
Every Wednesday evening, we're both on Skype, and we're just talking for an hour to even sometimes, depending on the show, it can go as far as 3 hours.
That's great. What sports are you talking about?
So when Debate Amongst Friends was born, we talked about as many sports as possible within an hour period, because we really didn't want to spend any more money on the subscription
packages,
for yes, exactly. So we try to condense everything down, and
good.
we tried so many different methods of trying to do it, and I eventually came up with the PTI, which is a sports show on ESPN method of having a rundown. So we'll have all the different subjects we're going to talk about. We have a time limit for them, and we'll just go through each one of those.
That's good.
Well, that didn't necessarily make things smooth, because we'll tend to go over all the time, and we'll forget a bunch of different things. So then I found a different platform to go into, and that allows us to expand it from an hour period to as long as we like. So now we're promoting it on YouTube and SoundCloud and all these other different platforms. Try not to self-promote here, of course.
You're good. No, this is all about you. There's no self-promotion.
But
when you grow, I grow.
Absolutely, growing within association, within amongst people.
Yeah, it's important.
How about that? So it got to a point to where we were just spending so much time just talking about three major subjects, which was football, basketball, and professional wrestling. That was one of the things that I really enjoyed as a kid, and we still watch it now. So it got to a point to where we started to build a pretty good following of really, really close friends, and one of our close friends said, hey, I really enjoyed talking about wrestling too. So I took that as an opportunity to help expand it even further. So now we have a wrestling podcast that that particular friend is now hosting by himself.
Wow, look at that. I love to see those stories. I love it. Yeah, how things grow out of things. Why would you suggest to someone that's listening that they do that? That they just stop procrastinating and get started?
Absolutely. And it's actually funny that you're talking about just not procrastinating. Another friend of mine's also wanted to start a podcast. And of course, he went through the same kind of troubles of, man, I really want to start a podcast, but I don't know how to do it. I'm scared to talk and things of that matter. So what I did was I invited him onto the show. And one thing I like to do when I'm talking to people is coach them through, like, just have a normal conversation.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to have a certain personality, although on the show we have aliases that we use.
It's just even more fun.
Just to keep it a little bit more fun. Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you're referring to someone, so like my persona on the show is the Professor John Gotti.
Love it.
So, my best friend took that, and it's now a huge thing, and he goes into a tangent every single week saying, the Professor John Gotti, the king of RNG, the Troll Master, and it goes on and on and on, and I have many nicknames. It is hilarious.
That's fun.
Going back to my other friend, though, I had him onto the show, and I saw another opportunity because he really enjoys talking about politics and pop culture and comics and and movies as well too. So I'm like, well, how about let's have another podcast really dedicated to that. That way, this podcast has this certain niche, this podcast has this certain niche, and for the main podcast, Debate Amongst Friends, we could just talk about football, basketball, as well as some of the other little sports that we'll talk about every so often, but primarily just those two.
That's good.
So now a podcast that just began as one with a 60-minute time limit is now 3 shows within a week.
Well done.
Exactly.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. Love it. All right. Now, where's the best place for people to connect with you?
You could connect with me on Twitter at Ken86. You could connect me on Instagram at Professor John Gotti. Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's going to stick with you for the rest of your life.
It really is. I think it's to the point to where, family and, coworkers start calling me that. In fact, I think my current manager enjoys trying to call me Professor John Gotti.
Wow.
So,
yeah, that's good.
He makes it a point, during group meetings to say, yeah, what's your podcast name again? I love that name.
That's great.
But yes, you could definitely reach me on those two social media platforms.
That's great.
I'm really active on Twitter, and
I would think so. Yeah,
I
could see the debate on that. Yeah, going on, and even the analytics, and Twitter seems to be the platform.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's switch gears. Let me now invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm blue Caribbean water.
Ooh, yes.
What is your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory is being around my grandfather. He was such an influence for me growing up because he taught me the value of hard work. He taught me the value of doing the right thing, understanding the value of family. One great example was whenever the family would have cookouts, he would always pick me up at the crack of dawn, which is like 5 o'clock in the morning, and he would, have me help set him up. As a kid, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to be like the rest of my cousins. But for me, I felt like he saw something there. He saw, something bigger than just another kid, within the family who can, do whatever he wants. He really wanted me to understand the value of, waking up early and doing a good job every single day.
How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
I still go by the same kind of standards that he taught.
Like you were here on time.
Exactly.
Before time.
Exactly.
Yeah, that definitely registered.
Exactly. He always says if you're not on time, then you're late. Or if you're not early, you're late. If you're on time, you're definitely late. And I just take that with everywhere I go. Even just in the professional environment, if I would go to a job interview, I will make sure I'm early. I will make sure that I'm dressed to impress. I want to dress for the job that I want instead of the job that I already have.
Yeah, that's good. Well done. This guy is a champion. Well done.
No. I'm trying. I'm still trying.
No, you're doing. Yeah, trying doesn't move things. Doing does things. That's good.
Absolutely.
I love it. If we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
Ooh, which year?
12 years old.
Ooh, I don't know. When I was 12 years old, my mother had me so into church all the time. So whatever song she would have me sing in the choir was the song that was always on my mind.
Do you remember like one song that pops out?
So one song, and everyone's gonna laugh, of course. And if my family's watching this right now, they're also gonna laugh because they know exactly which song I'm talking about. It was a song called "Peanut Butter and Jelly."
Oh, really? What was that song about?
It was basically about, someone wanting their soul to be saved, and they referenced that into "I Don't Want No Peanut Butter and Jelly." And as a child singing in the children's choir, for some reason they chose me to do the solo for it.
So explain that. So it's saying I don't want peanut butter and jelly.
Yes.
How does that relate to the soul though?
Well, someone has to lead the song for the choir.
Right.
And I still, to this day, still believe that I was just randomly picked out of a hat versus just saying, I want that guy to do it. But I think it's just the concept of I don't want anything to hold me down. I don't want anything to stick to me. And I want to be rectified and have my soul to, have that enlightenment with God.
That's powerful. Do you see that song connecting to who you are today?
I see that song now, at least now as an adult, despite all the teasing that I would get with my family, because, they would,
Always
I don't know why,
whenever
I only had 2 solo songs in my career as a singer, and I'm not much of a singer at all, it's always the subject of teasing. Like always, it's like it's like clockwork with my family. But it's fun because I can take it in stride. I don't get upset about it. Like, I just go with the flow a lot.
I don't want no peanut butter and jelly.
Yes. So after this interview, he's definitely going to look it up.
Yeah, definitely.
He's going to reach out to me. He's going to say, you know what, Khalif, I get what you're saying.
Well, Khalif, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. Are you ready for this?
Absolutely.
Khalif, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
No.
Do you have children?
No.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Yes.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
I would say more, but that's because I'm reading.
If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, to represents who you are, Khalif, what would you say that is?
Tenacity.
I love it. I thought you were going to say, I don't want no peanut butter.
I knew it. Here we go again. I only say tenacity because people tend to say that I'm like a pit bull when I really want something.
You go
like,
get
and
it.
I just keep trying to get it. I keep trying to get it. And if I hit a roadblock, I want to find a different avenue of things.
That's great. Khalif, this was a great pleasure, my
Absolutely.
friend. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Yes, please don't look up I don't want no peanut butter and jelly and tease me on social media. I would respect that a lot. But no, you know, if you have dreams, go for it. Seriously. If you have yourself a connection of friends and family that will support you, you know, definitely lean on them. And if someone wants help as well too, or you know, you think that there's opportunity for you to help someone become more than what they are, definitely give them that guidance. You never know how much a small ounce of help can make such a big difference in someone's life.
Love it. Khalif, this was a great pleasure, my friend. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Did you have fun?
I did.
Boom. I love it.